To escape the nightmare her sadistic husband had created, Nina was given a horrifying condition. Andrew ordered her to pull out 100 strands of her own hair, each with the root still attached. Every strand had to be carefully placed inside an envelope and slid through the gap beneath the attic door. Only then, he promised, would he let her go. Desperate to reunite with her daughter, Cece, Nina endured the agonizing pain and completed the task. But the next morning, instead of opening the door, Andrew slid the envelope back inside with a chilling message. One strand was missing its follicle. You'll have to start over. Terrified, Nina pleaded with him, but Andrew remained cold. With no other choice, she painfully pulled out another 100 hairs, this time yanking them even harder to make sure every root stayed attached. Her body was already weak from hunger and dehydration, and before she could finish recovering, she collapsed. Hours later, Andrew finally unlocked the attic. Nina was barely conscious as he handed her a glass of water, calmly telling her it was all for her own good. According to him, this cruelty was simply his way of helping her become a better person. Nina forced herself to drink a single sip before stumbling out of the attic. She wasn't running toward freedom, she was running to find Cece. The moment she saw her daughter alive and unharmed, she could finally breathe again. She reached out, hoping to hold her, but suddenly her body became heavy, her vision blurred. That's when Nina realized the water Andrew had given her had been drugged. Before she could reach Cece, she collapsed once more. When Nina woke later that night, the house was eerily silent. Fighting through the effects of the drug, she searched desperately for her daughter. She finally found Cece sitting alone in a bathtub as the water continued to rise. Panicked, Nina rushed in and pulled her out just in time. But Andrew had planned everything. He immediately called the police, claiming Nina had become mentally unstable and had nearly harmed both herself and Cece. Since traces of the same drug were found in both of their systems, the authorities believed his story without question. In an instant, Andrew transformed the real victim into the accused. Nina was committed to a psychiatric treatment facility where she remained for 9 long months. But even after she was released, her nightmare wasn't over. Andrew still controlled the one person she loved most, Cece. With everyone else, Nina looked like a troubled woman whose devoted husband had stood by her despite everything. Behind closed doors, however, Andrew used that carefully crafted image to tighten his grip on her life. Every time Nina tried to expose him, he simply convinced everyone she was relapsing. He controlled the house. He controlled the narrative. And because Nina had no money and no legal power to take Cece away, she remained trapped. Then everything changed when Millie arrived. As the family's new housemaid, Millie quickly caught Andrew's attention. Hoping for another child, he manipulated her with lies until she began believing that Nina had been the real problem all along. Soon, Millie became the new woman in the house, and Nina was pushed out of the mansion. Millie believed she had finally won, but after accidentally breaking one of Andrew's prized porcelain pieces, she discovered the horrifying truth. Andrew locked her inside the attic. This time, however, he had made a dangerous mistake. He assumed Millie would break just as easily as Nina. He couldn't have been more wrong. Years earlier, Millie had spent 10 years behind bars because of a violent incident involving a man exactly like Andrew. She had already survived someone just as cruel, and she wasn't about to become another victim. Holding a sharp piece of broken porcelain, Andrew gave her a terrifying command. Take this shard and carve 21 lines into your stomach, one for every piece you broke. When you're finished, we'll talk about your freedom.